Welcome to the channel, guys. So a subscriber commented on one of my videos asking for me to compare the Audi R8 and the Cayman R. So I thought, what a good idea. So let's crack on with it. So obviously this is the R8, which is an Audi exclusive spec. It's in velvet purple. It's got the wingback leather seats. And it's a car that's, the R8 is like one of those cars that can really fit every bill. It's a great GT, so you can cruise in it. You could go from one end of the country to the other end, be in perfect comfort. You could attack your favourite A or B road in it. It does that great job well. So it's a great GT car. It's also a great sports car. But of course, R8, Iron Man, some class it also as a supercar. And I'll leave that argument. Post in the comments, is the R8 a supercar or is it not? But for me, I think it's overlapping GT, sports car and supercar all in one. So it's great from that aspect. We'll jump to the Cayman R now. I think the Cayman R is a dedicated sports car. It's absolutely not a supercar. Absolutely not. I would also say it's absolutely not a GT car. However, one area it massively trumps the R8, what is ideal for GT and your long European drives, is the cabin, and the storage space is off the charts. And let me just show you how much cabin space you have on any Cayman or Porsche Boxster. So all Caymans and Boxsters have this front and rear boot design. So you have this large front here, and as I'm being filmed, this is how big it is. That I can literally, I might not be able to get out now I've got in, but I can literally get into the front of a Cayman R. My age is showing. Oh, there we are, I'm out. So yeah, you can easily get several carry-ons in there. Now I'll show you the front boot in the R8. And now I'll be ready for a laugh. I'm not going to try to get into this one. It's a similar opening, but it's a really odd shape and design, because you can't actually fit that much in there. You can't, for example, I think we tried to get a large carry-on in here and it wouldn't fit, or you could only get one at a push, because even if you push it on this upper level, then the bonnet won't close. So it's at an immediate disadvantage to any Cayman or Boxster. But then the Cayman goes to another level, because you don't just have one boot in a Cayman or Boxster, you have two. You have another one back here, which is also pretty humongous. I'm not going to get into this one, but you can get in it if you so wish. I could probably actually get into this and lie down and close. Wouldn't be very comfortable, but you can do it, because when I've worked on the engine, I actually climb in here and then I removed this cover to get everything. You also have this net here, so you could put jackets or another soft bag there, but you'd easily get a carry-on, two carry-ons, or three large soft bags in the boot. So, and then you've also got the cabin as well. They're both kind of similar here, because you're not really getting anything behind the seats in a Cayman R, because if you're 6 foot or 5'11", you're going to have these seats most of the way back. I guess if you had a short passenger, they could maybe fit some coats, jackets, or a small soft bag in there, or one in the footwell, but you'd be cramped. You've got a small cubby-hole box in the middle, and you've got a large glove box. There is a little bit more. Bryony just nearly killed herself. You do have more room in the R8's cabin, predominantly behind the seats. So Bryony gets in there, there's actually a shelf, because this is a coupe model. So in the coupe, you could get a couple of carry-ons back there. But anybody who enjoys their driving will probably share this with me, that the last thing that you want in your car when you're taking the bends is luggage sliding from side to side behind your head. So you would have to pack that in to make sure it wouldn't move. So comparing these two for GT, you've got more room in the cabin of the R8 and it's a nicer ride, but you've got far less storage space, because the Cayman R has a lot more storage space. So now going on to the ride quality, let's not beat around the bush. The Cayman R is a firm car, and the suspension only has one setting, firm. So it rides okay because it's a relatively lightweight car at 1,350 kilos. But it is firm. If you're on more of the unsettled roads or B roads, you're avoiding the potholes. I mean, I avoid all potholes in any car, but you really want to avoid them in this car because it's slightly on the firmer side. And that, whereas the R8 has the magnetic ride control, so in the soft mode, it's actually a really plush and comfortable ride. And in the firm mode, it's still less firm than the Cayman R. Just to give you that comparison. So again, long distance touring, the R8 is better. But now let's get onto the driving dynamics. First of all, both these cars do have great steering. They're both hydraulic, so they're both really good. But this one, the 987.2 generation Porsche, and it's the same situation for all Porsches, that hydraulic rack in that car is amazing. Absolutely full of feel. You're only going to beat the steering in that car with either a McLaren or a Lotus or like a Caterham. It's that good. The hydraulic steering in this is good, but of course it's all-wheel drive and it's quattro. It is somewhat diluted in its feedback, but it's still better than a modern car that literally are just totally numb. So that's like the feedback and the driving. They're both good, but this is the all-and-out sports car. If your drives are very tight, twisty, never-ending twisting roads that are like a snake continuously and maybe somewhat narrow, like a typical British B road, this is the car I would take. If I was going to go for a Welsh drive out where all the roads were narrow, twisty, and a lot of fun, I'd be taking this car. If I was maybe going to a drive out to Wales and visiting like an amazing, beautiful hall or somewhere really pretty that's going to be a mixture of A and B roads, or much longer distance driving where I might also be driving through towns, this is a much nicer place to be. It is still a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, both these cars are epic fun. They both handle great and they both have huge grip. This is four-wheel drive, but I wouldn't say it has any more grip than that. The Cayman R on those Conti 7s, this is on PS4S, so both these cars are on an amazing tyre, but they both have huge grip. Even the Cayman R has even huge grip in the wet as well. They're both amazing. The one great thing about the R8 is being all-wheel drive. Should you want to use like a GT, sports or supercar all year round, this fits the bill perfectly. You put a set of winter tyres on this, it'll go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. With that added advantage of all-wheel drive quattro traction, it literally finds grip all the time. We were driving this on snow in summer tyres and it would still drive up hills, where if we were in that, there would be a higher risk of not getting up the hill. So this is better as an all year round car that does a bit of fun and is a good handling, but that is sports car handling perfection. And feed. Track-wise, absolutely the Cayman R. This is okay on track, but this would get expensive very quickly on track. It's a much heavier car. This is about 1,700 kilos. And that, so yes, it works well on track and it's reasonably good on track. Far better than I actually ever expected it to be when I did a track day in it. I was surprised actually how good it was. But you would get some big bills quick. The brake disc on this car and the pads is probably about £2,000 to £3,000 all round. Even though it's not ceramics, that they're still expensive brake discs. Where the brake disc on this car are going to last a lot longer because it weighs 400 kilos less. It's near as damn it half a ton less. So it's going to be a lot more friendlier on track. You're going to be able to enjoy it more, and you're not going to have a massive repair bill at the end of your track days. So if you said to me, let's do a track day, I'd take this. If you said to me, we're going to go to Spa and then go for a European drive, then it's a lot more difficult because you've got the extra luggage space here. But in many ways, I'd also prefer to be driving this because when you do actually want to chill out and calm down, this is very chill. Whereas this is reasonably good and chill on good A roads. But if you're on badly surfaced roads, then the firmness can get a bit upsetting. There's one other thing as well we need to touch on here. This is PDK. You can also get these in manual. Manual is fantastic. The PDK on this generation, because it's the first PDK that Porsche did, it's good, but it's not as good as the later generations. This is a manual. The manual in this is absolutely incredible. The manuals in those are good, but the manual in the R8 trumps it, just for the gated shifter and the click-clack as you're changing your gears. There's two forms of automatic. There's R-tronic, which is a hydraulically operated clutch. So it's still a manual, but the clutch is operated by the computer on a hydraulic. Personally, I would avoid those. I mean, the latest iteration, the R8 GT, they kind of perfected it, but I'm not sure if you can flash a regular R8 R-Tronic with that software to give it the GT software and the R-Tronic. Then they went to S-Tronic, which is basically the equivalent of Porsche PDK, but it's about the equivalent to the next PDKs that come along on Porsche. So it's extremely responsive on the up and the down. But one downside that I noticed when I borrowed an S-Tronic V10 was just simply that it was seamless. So there wasn't, you go up a gear and you really didn't notice it, which for me took a bit of the interactivity away. I like the PDK in this because when you change up with the Sports Chrono and Plus mode, you get that kick in the back, which is nice. Something where the R8 does win hands down is, the clue is in the name, 8. It's a V8. It sounds absolutely incredible. And this car, if you were to race these both side by side, the actual R in a straight line might even pull on the R8 up to 100 mile an hour. They're both very similar. The R8 might be ever so slightly quicker over 100, but these cars nearest damn it in the real world are the same performance. I think the 0 to 60 on this with launch control is 4.4 seconds. The 0 to 60 on this being a manual is about 4.6 to 4.8 seconds. But there's one massive plus. This feels twice as fast. And why does it feel twice as fast? First of all, the V8 FSI engine in this, which was originally in the Audi RS4, is a really special engine. This engine develops torque from like 1500 to 2000 RPM. If you boot this at 2000 RPM, it pins you in the seat and it doesn't stop till 8000 RPM. This engine feels ferocious. It's a proper pin you in the seat engine and you feel like you're absolutely flying. And then you look at the speedo and you're actually not breaking the speed limit, or you're not going to get into a lot of trouble. You might be doing 85 at that. So it's one of those cars that feels much quicker than it actually is, which for me is a massive positive to the Audi R8. This, however, though in the real world it's just as quick and probably on a twisty B road, this will be the quicker car, but you've got to keep this car high up in the revs, and that you've really got to keep it above 4000 RPM, and it's in the sweet spot between 4000 and 7000 RPM. It's like the PDK is effective and it gets going, but that's just a lot more fun on the drivetrain. Brakes wise, they're actually both fantastic on the brakes. We did touch on it. This one's obviously a lot more expensive, but both these cars stop on a sixpence. Both got incredible brakes.
Can you get both with ceramics?
Ceramics was an option on Cayman R's. It's a rare option, but it was an option, and the ceramics are fantastic. They are better than the steels, but this car has some upgrades on it, which gives us pretty much the same performance as ceramics, but they're one of actual ceramics. They look nicer and they keep your wheels clean. I believe that ceramics was only an option on the run-out Gen 1 R8s. The V10s, it was definitely on the V10 models, but I think on the V8 models, I think it either came on the 2013 onwards, and it was either default or you had to option it. And again, I've never at one point been in this car and thought to myself, I wish the brakes were better. The brakes are fantastic, but the ceramics again would be better. But I guess if you needed to change all the ceramics, you're probably talking 15 to 20 grand bill. So though the steels are expensive, they're a lot cheaper than ceramics.
What about running costs in general?
Running costs in general, let's forget the issues that we've had with this. This should be the far cheaper car to own. And the reasoning for that is that normally these are super reliable. There's a 987.2 generation, so they don't suffer any of the bore scoring or the IMS issues that plagued the earlier Caymans and 911s. Fuel economy on a run, if you're doing 70 mile an hour, you will get 40 miles to the gallon out of this, the PDK, but you can also get that with the manual. Servicing is once every 2 years, so if you're not doing any track days, that's absolutely fine. And even at a Porsche dealer, that'll be less than £1,000. At a specialist, probably about 500-ish. This is a cheap car to own and run from both petrol, blah, but also tax is cheap on this. It's about £365.
What's insurance?
Insurance is also cheap. They're actually insurance, they're both similar, but it's about 400. But yeah, this is a cheap car to own and run, absolutely. This is a much more expensive car to own and run for many reasons. First of all, the tax. It's nearly £800 a year now because, yeah, our government likes to rinse us. Insurance is about 400 quid, so that's not a problem. But fuel, she's a very thirsty girl. You'll only get about 26 to 28 miles to the gallon, and that's if you're being careful on a run. When you're enjoying this, you're talking 15 to 17, whereas in that you'd be 17 to 20. When you're enjoying both these cars, they're actually not too dissimilar, but when you're cruising, the Cayman R is much better. And again, servicing on this should be every year. There is a lot of specialists now. I'll just plug Ricky at RE Performance. It's probably the best R8 specialist in the country, better than any Audi dealer, and probably the best specialist. I used to have it done every year, and I guess depending on what the car needs, it could be anywhere between £500 to £5,000. Again, for us, we've had this now a year and a half, and it's not cost a penny. I do have a video where I've done cosmetic stuff, but that's really no fault to the car, and the car has not let us down at all. We had a squeaking auxiliary belt when we got it, which was like £60. Unfortunately, this has had a few issues, which is very rare that you get issues with these. But the first issue we had was that the front suspension collapsed, so I replaced the whole suspension because I do things properly. So we replaced the entire axle. We didn't just do one side; the whole front end was done. New dampers, new springs, new bushes, new drop links, everything, all done. Then there was something else that went, but I can't really remember what that was. But then just recently I had brake failure in the car. I thought I'd take the car for a spin around, like I do after I've washed the car, make sure nothing seizes on. And as I was a few miles from home, I noticed the brake pedal started to feel a bit weird. I thought I'm going to turn around and head home. And as I was heading home, the brake pedal went straight to the floor and the car weren't stopping. We had a total brake failure. Got it home, obviously, no mishaps, car's absolutely fine. I know how to drive a car without brakes. And it turned out that whoever had previously worked in the car before my ownership, in that rear corner, the brake line hadn't been clipped into its holder. So what it had been doing was whacking against the holder all the time, which pierced the brake line. And of course, all the fluid decided to come out by there. Thankfully, it wasn't an expensive fix. Even if you buy a brake line from Porsche, it's like £160. But I had the local garage because I trust the local garage, the same guy that painted this, who did it all for me, and it was £360. But I would say we've probably spent on this £3,000 to £4,000 and that in the suspension, the brake lines. I also fitted new tyres to it because even though the tyres it came with had tread and were good Michelin's, they were old. You know, one of them was like 8-9 years old, and you shouldn't run tyres more than 6 years old. But they're normally very reliable. I don't want to put anybody off. Normally a 987.2 are very reliable cars. We just got a little bit unlucky, but it's been done now.
What about cost to buy?
Cost to buy, this is the thing. This being a Cayman R, for the last 10 years, these cars have always been £35,000 to £45,000. They've always been in that price bracket. They've never moved. So in a way, you have to initially pay quite a lot to get into one of these, but when you decide to get out of it, you'll get pretty much back what you paid for it. So cost of ownership isn't actually that much because they don't depreciate, but the cost to get into it is quite a lot. But if you've got 45 grand and you want the best 987.2 generation Cayman, then the Cayman R is the best one, or the Boxster Spider. They are the cream of the crop of the 987.2 generation. And though they cost more to get in, when you sell it, you'll get predominantly most of that money back, if not all of it. The Audis are a bit different because you can pick up an R8 V8 Manual for £30,000. But I wouldn't recommend that you do that because it probably needs a lot of work. These cars, again, are predominantly reliable, and this has been very good. But you can, if you've got magnetic ride, their dampers can leak. They're like £1,500 a damper, and again, you should change an axle if one of them goes. And predominantly, if one goes, they're all going to go. So £6,000 bill if you want to change the lot. I do believe there is a place now in Poland you can send to refurbishment, which will obviously cost you less. Obviously, being a manual, clutch life can be anywhere between, depending on the driver, 30,000 miles. Some people have got 80,000 miles, and I think a clutch is probably £3,000 to £5,000 fitted because obviously a lot of stuff has to come out. The other thing, make sure the air conditioning works on these, on the V8s. If it doesn't work, engine's out, you're going to need a new compressor. It's a big bill. Make sure it works. But yeah, a nice one of these, budget 40 grand. You'll get a low mileage V8 manual for 40 grand, and you should get a nice one. let's just so let's sum it up. So I think this is like, if you like attacking B roads and being a bit of a crazy driver, buy a Cayman R. Of course, you could just buy a regular Cayman S of this generation. You probably get a really nice one for 25 grand. If you want a car that's a very rounded car, but has a real big personality, the R8's personality is massive, buy an R8. I mean, and I think that's really the comparison of these two cars. Anything else? Bryony, as you're behind the camera?
No, I think that sums it up nicely. I love the Cayman R because it's very lightweight. It's got loads of steering feel, very confident inspiring. The Audi R8 just feels very special. It feels like a supercar. It's got the manual gearbox. The sound is incredible. The interior is incredible.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
Supercar looks and sound, sports car handling and GT cruising, and this is just an all-out sports car.
Car people love the R8 a lot more.
Yeah, this is like, if you want, I guess if you're one of those people who wants to impress your mates, this car's going to impress them a lot more than this car.
People just see a Boxster.
Yeah, or a Cayman. Only a true Porsche petrol head will know what this is. I mean, this is a very limited edition car. There's only 42 in peridot green. So I'm going to sum the video up there. If the person who did make the comment asking for the comparison, if I've missed anything out, just ask in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe to the channel.